Hi, I'm Aslam Mullah and I am a registered attorney, and in today's video we're going to be talking about sneaky tricks that spouses use to hide assets during a divorce process. Are you thinking about getting a divorce? Maybe you're worried that your spouse is going to hide assets from you, then this is the video to watch. The reality is there are more assets available now to spouses than they were 30 years ago. And if your spouse is going to hide assets from you, you are not going to actually get the settlement that you deserve during the divorce process. Some of these assets that spouses may now own compared to 30 or 40 years ago is the family home. They can also own rental income properties, shares on the stock market, life insurance policies, shares in different businesses, pension plans, and various other assets that are in their name. It's very important that you get hold of this information and you know what is on the table so that you don't leave anything out. Because when a couple gets divorced, all of these assets have to be considered. Now, you may find that your spouse is actually trying to hide assets from you. And this is very concerning, especially if you don't know much about their financial affairs. Maybe if you are the wife, your husband was handling all of the financial affairs during the marriage. Or if you're a husband watching this video and you're concerned about your wife's financial situation. Here are some steps that you can take today to discover some of these assets. Step number one is to make a list of all known assets in the marriage. That's the starting point. Take out a piece of paper and write down anything that comes to mind, whatever you can remember, any discussion where your spouse mentioned any particular income that they're getting or any asset, inheritance, whatever it is. Write it down on a piece of paper. The next step is to try and get copies of your spouse's tax returns, because this will indicate their information on their income and assets. Number three is, from their tax returns, make a list of all income and expenses of your spouse. From there, you can see where their income is coming in. Another important tip is to get a copy of your spouse's previous wills, because that will have an information about all of the different assets and who it's going to go to. But you will get the information regarding the assets. Now, it's also important to check if your spouse has any kind of life insurance or pension plans. A good way is to check their bank statements to see what debit orders are running off your spouse's bank account. Also, be on the lookout for these telltale signs that your spouse is actually starting to hide assets from you. Some of the sneaky ways is that your spouse becomes very defensive and very secretive when you ask for certain information. For example, if you ask for their bank statement and they refuse you, they become very defensive. It's clear that they want to hide information from you, or maybe there is something that they want to hide from you. The second sneaky way is if your spouse colludes with his or her employer at work by agreeing to take a pay cut or refusing to take a promotion, meaning that their salary goes down during the divorce process until the divorce is finalized. What do I mean by this? Let's say your spouse is earning $30,000 a month. They go to their boss and say, listen boss, I'm going through a divorce. Can you give me a pay cut to $20,000? And that extra $10,000 you can pay me after I get divorced. Or if they're in line for a promotion, they tell the boss, I can't take a promotion now. I'm going through a divorce. I don't want to show I have a high income, because if I show a high income, I'll have to pay more in maintenance and child support. Can you defer my bonus and can you defer my promotion till after I'm divorced? And they sign a contract for that. That is a very sneaky way that spouses use to hide their income. Another way is if your spouse starts to overinflate their expenses. What do I mean by that? all of a sudden now your spouse owes money to friends and relatives, and sometimes even the friends and relatives collude with them against you by saying, yeah, I lent him some money to buy a fishing rod, and that money is 5,000 rand. I want the money back. Now your spouse has to pay them the money, and meanwhile your spouse and his or her friend have agreed that after the divorce they'll pay the money back to your spouse. These are some of the dirty tricks that spouses use either to decrease their income or to increase their expenses, which ultimately means less money available to you when it comes to a divorce settlement. Now, why do spouses do this anyway? Why do they try and hide assets in a divorce? Why do they do that? Usually, I find in my experience and in my practice, it's because they feel that they won't have enough money for themselves after the divorce. Also because they're afraid that if they've cheated on you, you are now going to take revenge on them and take all of their money. And sometimes your spouse is just a greedy person. Whatever the reason is, at the end of the day, it is unethical and illegal to hide assets and money during a divorce process. So remember to keep your eyes open and be aware of the dirty tricks that spouses use to hide their money during a divorce process. If you need help in your particular situation, you're more than welcome to click the link below and book an appointment with our office. I wish you all the best, and I'll speak to you soon.